So here's my spooky clock and garden file, and I'm just going to point out to you what all the pieces are and how they go together. So first of all, these sort of teal coloured pieces are the sides of the clock, as you can see, and I cut those out in black matboard, which is why I've coloured them in a different colour so you can see that. Most of the before I go to the next pieces, these orange pieces are the vellum pieces, and I bought plain vellum from Joann's and I coloured it myself with my printer. I found it was more successful using my laser printer than my inkjet printer, but both of them do work. If you've only got inkjet, that will work too. And of course you can buy vellum that's already coloured. Cricut has it. Well, they used to have it. I haven't seen it on their website for a while, and you can buy it online on Amazon in colours. Anyway, so that's those pieces. All the black pieces are mostly either cardstock or black kraftboard. I use black kraftboard for the tree, for the house, for the cat. Actually, no, I think I used Cricut glitter cardstock for the cat. And then these are all print and cut images, and they're backed with black kraftboard, and the gravestone's the same, and the tree is the same. These fences were all black kraftboard, and so were these fences that go around the garden. And this is the file here for the little hearse carriage with the little coffin inside it, and that's a Cricut file, not mine. And you will find instructions for this, very detailed instructions, in Design Space, and I will find the link for it and put it there for you. It's got quite a lot of pieces, but it was quite fun to put together, and our version is a lot smaller than the version on Cricut Design Space, but otherwise it wouldn't fit in our garden. These are the pieces of the roof. They join together to make one piece for the roof. On mine, these are the triangles that glue onto the outside of the roof, and I used a sort of cardstock. It was a Coordinations craft stock that I thought looked quite good in that position, and I'll show you on the clock itself, but you could use whichever one you wanted to yourself. This witch is it's on a cartridge that I'm not sure you can get on Design Space anymore. It was from, I think it was a Child's Year or a Storybook or one of those, but you can just delete that and replace it with something else if you want to. It may be available for purchase, I'm not sure, because I own that cartridge, so it doesn't tell me what options are available. Everything else, though, I believe is in access, so you shouldn't have real problems with any of it. This is the little sign that I put on the roof. Those are spiders, in case you want to replace the bat that I put on my second hand with the spider. I think that would look quite good, because there's a spider's web is the clock face, and I used Cricut glitter cardstock for the numbers. I used kraftboard again for the spider's web, and I used various colours of cardstock for the other pieces. I'm not sure there's much else to tell you. I'm just looking through to see. These, of course, are the usual construction strips, and those you can just cut from black cardstock. I'm not sure I used that skull. I can't remember. But that could be something you could replace the witch with if you wanted to. I don't remember using that skull, but it might be on mine. I'll have to look later. And that's about it. So I'll get back to showing you how I put it together. So this clock is constructed really in very much the same way as all my clocks, but I'm going to try and give you a little bit more of a step-by-step instruction this time, just in case you haven't seen the other videos. So you've got 4 pieces, as I said, and this is the back, the gate at the back with the door through it, and 3 pieces which I've already joined together, and I'll show you how I put them together. So they're all joined with these construction strips, and those are scored down the middle, and they go on every seam, both on the inside and also on the outside, to give it extra strength, especially on something like this where they're actually quite thin, because it's this thin sort of fence design, but it still comes up with quite a sturdy finished product. And this one is lined with vellum, and I printed my own vellum. And these I printed first of all on my inkjet printer. And I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a lot of streaking and variance on them, and they curl up quite a lot, and when you get them out of the printer they're still quite wet. You have to let them dry first before you try and do anything with them. But I'm lucky in that I also have a laser printer, and I must say I prefer the results on my laser printer. They come out flat, they don't have streaks, they're already dry. So if you have a laser printer, I recommend that you print them on there, but it will work on an inkjet printer, and you can, if you want to, buy vellum that's already coloured. And I've heard that people colour it with ink pads and things like that. I haven't tried that. I chose a kind of marbled, actually almost like a sunset sort of look for mine, but you could just use a solid orangey colour or whatever you wanted really. And I'm putting 2 pieces together. Again, you don't really need to do that. You want to know how transparent it is. I didn't want to see the actual candle flame that I'm going to put inside. By the way, I do mean electronic candle. So I put 2 pieces together, but that's a matter of taste as well. You could just as easily put 1. And the vellum I buy in packs of 25 from Joann's. If you look in the section where all the cardstock is, you'll find it amongst that, and it's quite inexpensive, especially if you use a coupon. So what I'm doing is, I do show them in the file online as part of the cutout, but for mine, because I want to get them in a certain position and also avoid these borders that I've got here, I'm going to cut them by hand. And the way I do that is simple really. I just lay my piece on top, and I decide where I want it to sit on the, and I just get a pencil. I've got one of these pencils that's a very fine tip, and I just draw around it and I cut it out. And I'm going to stick this last piece on here before I put the further construction strips to stick this back piece on. So we'll do that first. I'm going to, I could cut them with my knife that I'm, the Cricut one. I've cut them so far with scissors. I suppose I could try that, see how that goes. I'll put two on top of each other, but try and hold them in place. And I did scissors last time, but I'll try the knife this time just to see how it goes. So the Cricut Fine Controller, whatever it's called, knife. Go down the side. Try not to cut my actual gate piece. I think I might use my ruler actually, now I've got my line on there. I think I'll get my Cricut ruler. I'll be right back. I'm back because I don't want to cut the edges off my pieces, which I'm quite likely to do. So I'll put the ruler on top of the line I just drew and I'll cut. And that works pretty well, but I think I'm going to cut, if I can find them, I'm going to cut the white pieces off because I know that's the edge of that I don't want, where my line is. I'm going to do that with the scissors because somehow I'm just a clumsy person and a knife, unless I need to use a knife, isn't as easy for me as these scissors. So I'm holding them together and cutting them both at the same time. I'm trying to get them as close to the right place as I can, but there is a little bit of wiggle room when you adhere them to the gate anyway, so it's not too crucial. Alright, now you could glue these together, although I would only do it around the extreme edges, and I'd use my art glitter glue, but I'm going to use score tape when I find where I put it. Here it is, and I get this from Amazon. Looks like that. If you put in the search SCOR tape, you'll be able to find it. This one is 1/4 of an inch wide, and that's just right for what I want to do. So I put it all around the edges first. I'm trying to put it right on the edge because I don't want to show through on my model, my clock. You can just tear it, you don't have to cut it. So, like that. Oops, that didn't stick quite straight, that's it. And on the last side, and then I'll show you what I do. What I do is I just take the backing off just partly. I think I'll start this end, and I just bend it over like that. And I do that on all 4 pieces. Just take a little corner off and that one doesn't want to come off so easily. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get off the backing. That one's better, and I just bend them back like that. This one, get it? Yes, that worked. That one, and lastly this one. And then I'll put my other piece on top where I want it to be and line it all up so that it's nice and in the right place. When I'm happy with that, then I just grab this piece here. Whoops, moved it. I just grab this piece, pull it out, and let that fall into place. And once one is in place, the rest are easy. You just pull that one, and then making sure it's flat as you go. And this one comes out, and so does that. And now I have a piece ready to stick to this. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put score tape on this to join it to that. Sure your score tape doesn't peep over the side of your gate, or whatever you want to call that, gate, side of your clock. And do the same again, exactly the same as you did on the vellum. I just dropped a few things on the floor, but never mind, I'll pick those up in a minute. And it's on all sides of there. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing, just lift corners up and bend them back. And then, making sure I put it up the same way, because mine has a pattern on it as the other pieces, I'm going to lay this on the clock piece, and I'm going to pull this one out, like that, pull it down, and then again the other pieces will fall into place quite easily. Make sure you keep it flat as you go, and I've just got one more to take off. I think I took that end. Maybe not, I'll do it here anyway. There we go. So now I've got my vellum on three sides on the inside, and I've just got to stick the back on. Let's put this knife away and move those pieces out of the way. And I will show you this piece. Now this piece is different because you don't want, there's going to be a door here, like this, to gain access to the battery. You don't want vellum on that part. So I'm going to have to go around. Again, I'll probably go up to my edges there. And with my pencil, make sure it's firmly in place. I'm going to draw around this part. Whoops, moved. Try not to get it all smooth. And then down here. And I'm going to have to cut this square piece out and that piece as well. So I'm going to have to use my ruler for this one because I don't want to damage And for the square piece at least, I'm going to use my knife, and perhaps it's easier than what I did last time to do one piece at a time. So let's see, I see that line, yes, there it is. And cut that piece. And that piece. Where I've drawn the line. And finally this one. As far as knives go, and I'm not very good with them, this Cricut one really is quite nice and easy to use. I think I did it. Almost. Just a corner piece. And a tiny piece there. So there's my window, just sort of straight. Fortunately, because there's quite a wide border, it's not too crucial. So I'm just going to tidy that one up a little bit with my scissors. There we are. And I will cut both pieces out, and I'll come back to you in a second. I'm just going to cut this one again with my scissors like I did last time, and cut these white pieces off, and then I'm going to do the second one. I'm going to stick them together in the same way I showed you last time, except in this one I will put score tape around the end, the piece that's cut out as well. So you don't want to watch me do all of that, that would be boring, so I'll come back to you when I've done those things. Okay, so here I am back again. I've now got the vellum on all four sides, and I'm just going to join these two to make the clock piece, and that needs these two construction strips. So I'll go ahead and do that. And as you can see, the gap's been left there for the door, and I'm going to, because this is kind of shiny stuff, rather than use usual art glitter glue, I'm going to stick this down with this tape again, and I will put a link to this tape after the video on Amazon. But this is where I'm going to stick this first. But actually, on second thoughts, before I put this together, I'm actually going to put the door in at the back that we need to access the battery. And so that's here. And I'm going to use tape. The tape is just in the drawer behind me, so I'll just get that. I'm going to use this black masking tape to attach it to the inside at least. You could use construction strips again, the same as these others that you've been using, but I just happen to have the tape and I think it's a little more flexible, so I'm going to put it on the inside first, and make sure the door's in the right place. And I'm going to get a piece of tape that's the right length here. And I'm going to attach it here. I'm not very happy how I attach that. It's not very much on the door and a lot on there, so I'm just going to remove that and move it over. Firstly, I don't want it to show through the lit part, and secondly, I want it more firmly attached to the door. So let's try again. That's better. I'm going to check it on the other side first. Yes, that looks okay. And then on this side, I'm going to put another piece of tape. It's the same length as the door. That's about right. I'm going to attach it here. I think I'll try and make it level with the edge of the I will cut that to size. Let me just see what I'm doing this way round. Now, I think I'm going to do that just now, making sure that that opens and closes properly, and I've got it a little bit. I'm going to go around there a little bit, so I'm going to trim that back. You do need to make sure the door is going to work, obviously. And let's try again. That seems better. Yes, that works. And I will probably put these little hinges on later, really just for decorative. And what I'll do is I will poke some holes through with this Cricut pointy tool. I will put the holes through, and I'll put some small brads to hold that in place on both of those, and then when I've done that I will probably tape over the other sides of the brads on this side afterwards, but I won't do that just at the moment. That will be an optional decorative extra at the end, and I will let you know whether that's the path I chose to. I'm just cutting, there's just a tiny bit of tape there that's a little bit untidy, that I'm trimming off. Yeah. And so that's going to be that. So now we can attach, oh, and I'm going to put them in, the magnets for the door closures. And again, make sure your door fits inside your I will just pause you while I have a close. Okay, I've checked that over, and now I'm happy that the door's in the right place. And I'm going to affix some magnets to it. And they should be under here somewhere. Yes, there they are. Rather a mess on my desk. But I use these tiny neodymium magnets that I mentioned before, that I get on eBay usually, but I'm sure you can get them on Amazon and places like that, Etsy. But they're very, very strong, tiny magnets. I'm using this as the door catch, or whatever you want to call it, and that's going to go there. So I'm going to sandwich these magnets in here first, and I'm going to glue these, and they need to be on this side because I'm going to turn it over that way. So oops, now my magnets are stuck together. Sometimes they're annoying, they're very strong and tiny. But so So I'm going to put them, I did say, on this side, didn't I? And this time I'm using my glue, but I need it to come out. Yes, there it comes. I'm going to put them there. And then they want to be attracted to each other, so you've got to hold them down. And then I'm going to glue this part on top to sandwich them in there. I don't want them right on top of each other, so I'm going to push that down. Glue. Very reactive, these little magnets. And then I'm going to glue these other two magnets underneath here. So I'm going to place this where I want it to actually be as a door catch, which will be about there. And I'm going to stick the magnets underneath, like that. Make sure I'm in a reasonable place. And then I'm going to tape over them to keep them in place. When I'm happy with that, I want to move slightly, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be flat on. And then I'm going to glue this so that it's in the right place. And I'm just going to lift it up because I don't want to take it off and move it. I'm going to put that there and push that into place and let that stick for a moment. Glue around the edges. Don't want that to seep out too much. Actually, while I'm doing that, I have an extra I decided to do. You don't need to do that, but I'm going to put an extra layer to the skull. So while that's drying there, I'll do that. How many layers you make of everything is really your choice. I quite like things, especially decorations that are going to stand proud, to be quite firm. So, and also it depends on the material you're using. If you're using a flimsy cardstock, you need to do several layers. If you're using a heavier cardstock, you may only need to do a couple of layers. If you're using Cricut kraftboard, that needs fewer layers as well. And if you actually cut it out of matboard, like I used for the clock, then you may only want one layer. So it all depends what you're using. I tend to use the matboard for the main part of the clock. For the decorations, I tend to just cut out in cardstock and do as many layers as I feel I want. And I use some glitter cardstock, which you'll see in a moment. And because it's less expensive and it's fairly easy to cut out small things, and you don't need it to be as solid as you do the clock. So now I'm going to stick this side down here, this last side, as I said. I've already put the tape on, so I can stick one side of the construction strip down first. Get that right. And then I'm going to stand it up where I want it to be. Move the other construction strip, no, rather the paper to the adhesive. This time I'm going to do it a little bit at a time because I want to line these up properly. And that's it. I'm going to remove this and push them together. Score tape is very strong, and I could use it on the outside as well, or I could use the glue. I'm going to decide in a minute. And I'm just going to trim off this tiny bit of the construction strip that's above the top first. And then I'm going to, that's my last construction strip, and that will go down there. And I think, since I have the tape to hand, that's what I'm going to do this time. But I often do use the glue as well, whichever really you prefer. Both work very well. On these very narrow, some of my clocks have got wider borders to them, where you stick construction strips, and this one, because I wanted this sort of cage or gate effect, it's got rather narrow construction strips, but it doesn't mean it's flimsy. Once we put the top and the bottom on, you'll see that it's really quite solid. So let's try this tape. Bottom side first. Remove the, nope, that's the whole thing coming off there. You have to be careful when you lift it that you're only lifting the, I'll do it the other end. So be careful that you don't lift the tape away from the, sometimes it comes away really easy and sometimes it's just being awkward. And it's also the angle I'm trying to do it so that you can see what I'm doing. Cut that again. Make a straighter edge. There, I can see it now. Right, so I've taken off the backing strip. Now I'm stuck to it. And first of all, this one down. Make sure you cover all the adhesive so you've not got adhesive showing on your clock. If you doesn't go right to the edges, you can push it into place. And now this other piece of backing tape, backing paper on the tape. There we go. And then get it to the shape you want it to be and push it down. This one I've got a little bit of the adhesive showing here. I'm going to try and push that in afterwards, but I won't bore you when I'm doing that. The tape is only just narrow enough to fit on those edges, and I've got another piece here that's slightly over the end, so I'll trim that down, and there we are. This is the main part of the clock. Now we have the floor and the ceiling. Both of them, again, that very smooth black matboard, or I think they call it just black art board in the art shop I buy it from. It's got a black core and it cuts beautifully. I've got various other mat boards. I haven't tried those yet, but you no doubt will see me using those in future clocks. So let's start with the bottom. These strips, you'll notice, are not like the others, they're not narrow. Because what I'm going to do is put the narrow part on where this narrow band is, and the wide part onto the black board, because it doesn't matter. It's not going to show through and it'll give it a firmer grip. So I'm going to start by gluing these. I could have taped them. Let's try glue. So I'll put that one in place first and hold it till it grips. I'm a little concerned about this shiny vellum, which is why I use the tape. But as I said, I think either method works. Certainly I'm not going to put tape on this part anyway. So you've got a choice really. You can either tape that to that or you can glue it. And when it comes to the corners, I usually cut them 45 degrees so that they don't overlap and make it too thick. So like that. Let me show you on camera properly. And like this. There we are. And we're going to do that with all 4 pieces. And the glue seems fine on top of the vellum, so that's okay. And you can cut them before you adhere them if you want. So 45 degrees, or just a nice, like that. Black is hard to see sometimes. I'm just trying to put it to the camera so you can see it more clearly. There we are. And I'm going to glue all 4 of those. Onto these 4 edges. Press firmly into place and make sure they come up to the edge of your, that's it. That's it. Try not to make a mess with the glue like I always seem to do. As I say, I'm going to cut these first this time. Those out of the way. Want to go, I'm just going to cut a tiny piece off. There we are. That one fits in there. Make sure it comes up to the edge here. See here. And I'll show you it when it's all. I don't think my 45-degree cut was very good. Let's cut a bit more off. And that one's not too bad. So there's not too much bulk in the corners. It doesn't have to be exact. And finally, this last one. Again, it seems just a little bit too wide. Probably it's the depth of the actual board. So my camera just switched itself off, but as you can see, I've now stuck the 4 strips inside there. And the the next part is to stick this onto the top and then push it into shape. So we're going to put glue on all of these. Nice amount of glue. Surely this is up to the edge. That one's the last one to stick, so it's a little bit. By the way, if you've got tape and you want to use it on this as well, you can. You can use a wider one on these parts. That tape comes in all different sizes. And I used it mostly for my mini album making, but it also comes in. Okay, so my battery ran out, and then we had a big storm, which is still going on a bit outside, but it's dying down now, so I'm going to try and do a bit more recording. So while you were away, I continued to stick the bottom on like I told you, and I stuck the top on, and then I put these pieces on the outside. There's one more to go on the bottom, so I'll show you that. I don't cut them away because I like a nice clean finish on the bottom. I don't want any corners cut away. So I'm going to stick that one on first. Press it firmly, like that. And also when I was sticking the ones on the inside, I pushed my hand inside the clock and pressed all the pieces down. And the same when I stuck the ones on at the top, I put my hands on the inside and pressed them up like this. Make sure they were all firmly stuck. And now we only have one more outside piece to go on, and that's on this side here. And I just put that, oh there it is. I just put that there, and that's going to stick on there. But only it's going to, of course, go that way around. So I'll just do that one. And then we've got the beginning of our clock. And in a minute I'll tell you something else I did while you were away. You hear the thunder going on out there? That's Florida for you. So we'll stick that one on very neatly here. Make sure the sides line up and it's nice and neat, and press it down nice and firmly. Like that. And there we are. Also, while you were away, I put my clock movement inside. I think you can see it there. I get my clock movements from various places. AliExpress, online, they're very inexpensive, but also Joann's, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, all those sort of places, all of them. So I just put that in because it's easier to put in before you start pressing everything else. Although there's a nice big space here to get your hand in, so it's not too difficult. But anyway, I did that at this point. And there's the magnetic holder. So the next thing we're going to do is put the roof on. And the roof, the two pieces of roof have been stuck together on there with inside, and leaves these flaps that will stick onto the top. I made some panels to go on online. You could leave yours plain, but there's the option to put the panels on. I inked them. Actually I used this, I just used my Sharpie, black Sharpie, but you can use this as well to ink the sides, and that's going to go on there. That's the fourth piece. So this paper is a Tim Holtz Ranger from Joann's. I forget what it's called just now, but I'll look it up and let you know. So I'm just going to stick this last roof panel on. Make sure we've got the glue right up into the corners and to the edges, but not so much that it's going to seep out and make a mess, which is one of my favourite methods as well. And have a look which way your pattern's going. I don't think it matters too much on this paper, so I'm just going to put mine there. If you do have some kind of pattern or something running up, you need to check that. Now you'll notice on the top of my roof I've got the witch. I actually made her in 4 pieces and stuck her all together because I wanted her to be nice and firm, and she has some tabs beneath her. And what I did, I cut a tiny piece off the top of the roof to make a hole, and then I squeezed the tabs together and pushed her, bearing in mind all the which was stuck together. I stuck 2 of the tabs together and 2 on the other side, but I left the centre piece unglued. And then when I got her inside, I stuck the tabs down, you can see that, to the roof. I will try and show you. Yes, I think you may be able to see that. So, and now I'm going to stick the roof and her to the top of the clock, and I'm going to check which way I want my witch to be, and then I'm going to glue that down and make sure it's nice and square. So I'm going to put glue on these tabs here, all the way around, nice, reasonable, plenty of glue, but as I say, not so much that you're squashing out and making a mess, but you also do want it up in the corners. And you can rub it with your finger like this to smooth it out a bit too if you want to, but I won't do that now. And there we are. And just like my friend Leo does on Dreaming Tree, when he's sticking something down like this, he brings the tabs out a bit so that when you press down, they're sticking. It's got something to stick to. That's what I'm going to do. And make sure I'm lined up with my witch in the right place. It's a bit tall for you to see at the moment, but I'll tip it in a second so you can see once I've placed it in place. I'll bring it forward a bit, there you are, and you can see I'm just sticking that down, making sure all the corners are matching up and it's nice and square, while the glue still allows you to move it a little bit and press it down nice and firmly. And you can even go inside the door, and I can't really, but it does give you a little bit of pressure to push from both sides, because you've already got the ceiling in there, so you can't get your hand inside the roof, as it were, but you can apply a little bit of pressure from all angles that way. And I think I'm pretty happy with how that is. And then it's all the decorations, which are the fun parts. So I have a house that came in several parts that I've stuck together. I stuck a black piece on the back too, so that it looks nice and neat from the, although you won't see very much from the inside. And I'm going to stick that on first. And the bottom of the house, I'm going to put just the top of this rim here, and you'll find then that the door just reaches down to the bottom. And when you stick it on, it's no good sticking glue all over the back of your house, because that's going to go onto your vellum, and you don't want that. So really you want to look where your house goes and then put your glue on the struts where the house is going to land. So mine is going, let's see, just just touches the edges of those. You can always put a little bit of glue underneath afterwards if you need to, so rather than mess up a lot of glue. And the middle one, it just comes up those centre three steps, but it's about an inch short of the top, and then this last bit I'll glue on afterwards. So let's try that. So as I say, don't go mad with the glue. And the centre three straps about here. Be gentle. And then down a bit, something like that. Be careful, don't get too much on your... You won't show so badly because you're going to have the house on top of it, but you really don't want too much glue on the vellum. You can make a mess. So I'm going to do something like that. Let's see how that goes. I'll stick my house down. More of this, right? And then, oops, I stepped down a bit. And then this, to wiggle this bit over a bit. And put a little bit of glue just on the top tip, I think. And maybe under here. Something like that. And then put just a tiny bit on this edge here, just to keep that edge down, but I think that's fairly well stuck actually. You can always check that out at the end when all the glue's stuck, if there's any pieces that you think need a little bit of help to stay down. You can put a little bit of extra glue later. I always go over my clocks at the end anyway, make sure there are no bits that should be stuck that aren't. And there we go. That's that. And that's the house stuck on this side. And on the other side, I have a tree. This is my tree. And that might be a bit more tricky to work out where to put the glue, but I'm going to see. Okay, I think I'm going to do this a little piece at a time. I'm going to put some down here. Right across to there. And then I'm going to put some under that central piece there. Here. As I say, you can always put a little bit more glue at the end. See there, I've got too much in the middle of that. There's that. And then under that moon, that. You may have to pull this about and work it out where you want the glue. Let part of it stick and then go back afterwards and find any loose bits and stick those down separately. It's a bit difficult when it's sliding around because the glue's sticking. So I might leave that for now until that part's stuck and then go back and stick some of these branches down a bit more firmly afterwards. But basically that looks like that. Pretty cool. And then on the door, I have at the back, I've got this piece, and I'm going to stick this so that just the top bar is going to be level with the top of the door. Doesn't matter that it sticks over, the bird is allowed to, and when it opens it'll be quite cool because it will have the bird stuck, not stuck, bird separate. So I'll just stick that. This you don't have to be quite so careful because the door's all hasn't got any holes in it like the gates have, like the sides have. So that's going to be stuck like that. And I'm going to turn it round so I can see where I'm putting it. And I want it about there. Like that. He needs to come down just a tiny. That's it. So his head isn't. Because we're actually going to put some other things there, so I want to make sure he's got a bit of headroom. It's going to be there, like that. I still may put those little hinges on, but I haven't got to that point yet. And I may put another decoration down here, we'll see that in a moment. Or rather, not in a moment, probably at the end. And then now we have the gargoyles, which again I've laid a couple of times and put black on the back. There's 3 of those, and there's a cat which I think I want to have on the back, and I put him in Cricut glitter cardstock, and I think he's got a layer or 2 of just plain black cardstock in between, and he's going to go on the back. And this, I haven't quite decided where that's going yet, so we'll start. And I also have some fences, I call them fences, I suppose they're roof bars or something like that, and I'm going to position one of those on each side as well. So I'm going to put those on first so that I can see where I want to put the other things. And I'm going to put glue just on this part here. Like that. And I'm going to stick them so that that part comes right to the edge. I'm messing up my glue here. This is what you don't want to do. And to stick it so that it's just on the corner edge each time. Try not to miss. This glue does dry clear, which is one good thing. And it will be like that. This is right. So the decorations have now been glued to the top where the roof meets. And I did actually layer these 3 or 4 times. As I said, it depends on what material you're using. So we've got 3 gargoyles, 1 on the front, 1 on each on the side, the railings here, and finally there's the cat on the back. The clock, as I said, is inside already. I did add a little bit of double-sided tape when I put it in position because it helps keep it in the right place, because however tight you screw the nut on the front, it sometimes slides slightly sideways. So I've got the hands here ready. I'm going to use green ones. I'll put those on later though, because I don't want to knock them out of place while I'm doing other things. And the second hand, I'm thinking of adding one of these little bats to the second hand, but we'll see when I'll show you a bit closer. There we are. There. They're the same ones as are in the tree, which you'll see in a moment. And now I'm going to talk about the board that I've got it on. I meant to put it on a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard, and then I found I didn't have any. So the pattern you've got is aimed at a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard. Mine's 11 by 14 and it's matboard, and I've stuck two together. And this is the sort of little garden that the clock goes into. Let me turn it round so you can see. And outside for now. And there's this spooky tree at the back. Looks like this. 2 layers of kraftboard, Cricut kraftboard, and then I actually did put a couple of these narrow strips, these construction strips, to hold the tree in place after I've done it. And you can see I've adhered a couple of those little bats onto the branches, and I'm going to put 1 or 2 more. And then put this aside for a moment. There are 2 gravestones, and those you'll find there's a little piece, I've used a little piece of cardstock which I've bent into this shape, like that, and I've sandwiched them between the 2 layers so that I can stand those up, and they're going to be glued to the board. This is the little hearse, little carriage, and there are no instructions that I need to give you for these, because Cricut has full instructions on their website for this, and I will put a link to show you where to get to it. It has a little coffin inside, it's very cute, and I have used, when I finished it, I decorated it with some little gems, you can see those, and also I use this, I distressed it slightly with this metallic luster. I did think of using a copper one, but in fact I used a green one, and the way I did that, it looked like a paste, very fine paste, and I just put a very tiny bit on the end of my fingertip, because I want a very subtle look, and I just stroke it on in various places, as you can see. There we are, I think you can see that. And I'm going to do the same to the clock, and I shall probably do the same to the gravestones and these fences, which I haven't shown you yet, and the tree. And I may use a little bit of copper as well, but I haven't decided on that yet. So I'm going to glue the 2 stones down to the board. I'm going to probably put something to keep the tree in place on the board, and I don't think I'm going to glue that into place, because I've made some fences to go all the way around the board, and these I've glued 3 pieces together, and I'll show you how I do that in a moment. So for example, this one is for the front, except I've got my board the wrong way around to show you, because it's got a tab which you fold back on one of the pieces only, and I'm going to glue it underneath the board, so there'll be, let me turn it around so you can see a little better. Black is really hard to show you, I'll lift it up so I can show you. I'm going to glue that tab underneath the board, and then to stop it from falling over that way, I'm going to use some construction strips like this one, just this narrow one, and put it behind the fence and glue that to the board as well. So I will do that, and there's a gate. I'm just going to leave the gate as if it's swinging open slightly, and there's a matching fence that goes this side, and the gate will just overlap that slightly, so I can stick those down, and I will do that when you've gone, well, while I've gone, and I'll come back and show you afterwards. The tombstones are going to go about there, the clock will be on its feet about here, The carriage is going to go there. The tree with its little bats is going to go somewhere here. There will be fences all the way around this board, which will help keep some of it in place anyway. And then, when I've done all that, firstly, at the base of the tree and the base of these, I was thinking of putting something like moss, but it fell apart too much, so I found something else, and I found this. This is from the Dollar Tree. I do know that if you're in England you haven't got one of those, and whether you can find, I don't know what they call this kind, it's very loose, black, sort of, I know it has a name and I can't think what it is, but it's just this kind of loose material, and it's like a net. And I'm going to, with my Fabri-Tac glue, which I don't think I've got on my table at the moment, you can find that, I'm just going to drape it across the bottom of these gravestones and round the tree, just so that you don't see the little tabs that are stuck to the bottom. And I probably, as I say, I'll glue it down with very sparing amounts of Fabri-Tac to keep it in place. So that's what that is. And I will just put some little, I don't want a lot of it, just going to be a few small pieces like that, and I will show you those at the end as well. So finally, what else? Oh yes, I'm also going to, I've got this, I didn't put this anywhere yet, and I'm going to put that on the front, on the roof, about here. Let's see just where I put it. It says something wicked this way comes, and I thought it was appropriate just under the witch, so that's going there. This lights up from inside. I use these LED candles that have a timer in them, and you won't see it at this time of day. I will take pictures of it when it is, and I just slide those inside, and I might put 2 or 1, and they go inside the clock through the back door, and they're just battery run. Obviously, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, you can't put real candles in there. Oh, and that's what the Fabri-Tac looks like that I'm going to glue down this fabric with. And one last thing, oh, the bats, when I glue them into the tree, I've got a couple of spare bats here. As I say, one might go on the hand of the clock, but I just find where I want to put it on the tree, and it looks like this. It's orange on one side and then it's got a black backing, and I just sandwich them between the branch and glue them in place, a little like that. There. So I will do all these things and come back. Oh no, and there's one last thing I wanted to tell you as well. I'm then going to raise this board up, and I'm going to, I've got these wooden wheels. These were from Hobby Lobby, and I painted them black. I haven't bothered with this part because this is going to be stuck to the board, and then I'm going to, the bottom part of them, I've got some felt circles here somewhere. Yes, these were from the leftover piece of furniture from Habitat, but you can just stick any kind of felt onto those, and they're going to raise the board off the ground a little bit, and I put one in each corner, so I'll show you that when I've done it. And one last thing, I've been used to stick my metal feet onto the clock with hot glue, but I've found that sometimes it peels off a shiny surface and the foot will come off, so I'm not going to do that. I've found that it sticks better using E6000, which if you're in the UK, I think Yoo-Hoo is a comparable kind of glue, and it holds them more firmly than hot glue, surprisingly enough. So that's what I'm using for this. So I'm going to, I'm sure I showed you this at the beginning because I'm not recording this in order. but I will come back and show you again it all put together and point out a few things that I probably didn't show you at the beginning. And that's all from me for now, and I hope you enjoy making this if you make it, and if you do, make sure that I see your efforts. I'd be very interested to see them. So goodbye from me, Cherry in Florida, and I'll see you again soon. So here's the final Halloween clock, the witch on the roof, the gargoyles, the railings, the tree, the carriage, and the fences. And it lights up every evening for 5 hours with timer candles in it. And let me come round to the side here so you can see a little more detail. And there's the feet that I told you about, the wooden feet with the felt circles, the grey stones, the bat on the second hand. And round this side, and try not to move the camera around and make you too dizzy. This side has the house. And there's the something wicked this way comes on the roof. And there's the witch. But that witch is with one of those cartridges that it may not be available. I'm sure it's not available on Access. I don't know if you can buy that particular image, and if you can't, then you would probably need to substitute something else up there. But there it is, my spooky clock and garden. Hope you like it, and I'll have some new things to show you again soon.